Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm the radical Derek Master.
Oh, okay.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the tubular horror news. And Derek, we give ourselves rad nicknames. How's it going?
It's going.
You say that intro, then you just sit there stone-faced again. I don't understand what's going on.
I like to play games.
Yeah, I know you do. You're
such a tease.
You're a gamer at heart. So, guys, we got a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk about Drew Goddard's Cabin in the Woods, a film that came out in the early aughts. So, well, mid aughts, I guess. You know, the 2010s, I suppose. So I guess early aughts would be like 2000 to 2009, I suppose.
Right.
They consider that the aughts. But it's a fun word to say, by the way. The aughts.
Yeah.
It's great. We're going to do Drew Goddard's Cabin in the Woods. But first, horror news. Let's start with this. This is interesting. I think you guys are going to like this. This is funny. At least, Derek, I think you'll like this. So, Steve Guttenberg is going to play a real-life serial killer in Lifetime's Kidnapped by a Killer.
Yeah, I can see that.
Who is this? I'm trying to picture it. I don't know who that is.
Nothing screams serial killer like Mahoney, right? You know who
Yeah,
Steve
but that was in his
Lydia.
heyday. He lately is. You know.
This is Steve Guttenberg. Right there. It's Mahoney. It's Three Men and a
Oh.
Baby. He's one of the most popular actors in the entirety of the 80s. Huge actor in the 80s.
Sure.
But he is starring in this
What's
movie
he
as a
look like
serial
now?
like that, but older.
I was like, surely he still doesn't look like that.
He ages extremely well. But this movie is about Heather Robinson, who was abducted as a baby and raised by a family of a serial killer who was convicted of murdering her mother.
Ooh.
That sounds actually pretty good. But in 2000, the then 15-year-old's world was shattered when she learned that the man she knew as her uncle, John Robinson, was a serial killer accused of murdering multiple women in the Kansas City area, including her biological mom.
Ooh.
That sounds actually pretty good. I'd be really excited about this, except for the... I won't say it. I'd be excited. This would probably be good.
Except for the
Why would-
Lifetime.
I'm
movie.
obviously.
You said it, Lydia.
I was
What'd
like,
you
why
say?
are we talking about a Lifetime movie right now?
Listen, I needed you to be the one to say that,
Okay.
not me. It'd come off as misogynistic or something if I said it.
I think out of all the Lifetime movies, though, like these like thrillers, like are the most watchable for me.
They're
personally.
sometimes pretty good. Derek,
I
you were going
haven't
to say
watched-
something?
I haven't watched any of them, but you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm obviously not a serial killer, but like, how could if you knew you killed
What a
somebody's
serial killer
mom?
would say.
It is what a serial killer would say, but I'm not.
White T-shirt every podcast.
But could you imagine having killed somebody's mom and then
Raising
walk
their
up to
baby.
them, yeah, and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" I don't know what I don't understand it. Anyway,
Ooh, yeah, that's
He
that
raises
is-
her from a baby. He raises her from a baby.
that
so-
would be intense.
Yeah.
That would be intense for sure.
It would be
I don't know. I don't know,
intense.
man. It's crazy world we live in.
It's true. I'm
You know
sure it's
what?
happened.
You know what I'm hoping happens with this movie, right? Is I hope that Michael Winslow shows up and provides the
What
sound
does
effects
it?
for the knife.
Oh my gosh.
That guy just made a whole career out of making noises with his fucking mouth.
That's hilarious.
That's epic.
It is. He's great,
Okay.
but I love it. I saw a clip of a Police Academy bit, one of the like later sequels, and it was so strange because it was Michael Winslow sitting at like in a restaurant, and there was a couple eating, and every time they would do something, he'd make sound effects for him, like she was eating a sandwich, and he'd go, and then he'd go when she starts sucking on her straw and stuff, and they got mad at each other and left, and I was like, what logic is this? You know, when Sarah was in labor actively, we were waiting on Connor to be born. They fucking ran Police Academy like three times in a row. I watched it 3 times in the hospital.
So that's like imprinted in your brain forever.
It is. And it's also what also imprinted as a kid. I loved Police Academy. And as an adult, I realized it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's not the like, it's not as classic. It's not Bachelor Party or anything like that, guys. Moving on. You guys will like this bit of horror news because it involves our good friend, Lee Winnell, in a movie that we're going to probably do here soon. Lee Winnell's Wolfman will begin streaming on Peacock this month.
Nice.
So it looks like April 18th. So actually, no, it won't be for next week. So the week after, we could review it. And we might. Who knows? It's Derek's pick that time, so fucking all bets are off. You know, we wanted to watch it. I've not seen it yet. None of us got to see it in the theaters, I don't think. So that'd be a good first watch, I think, at some point to do. This is, I didn't even know this was happening, but Hideo Kojima's game, Death Stranding, which is kind of like a horror-ish sci-fi game, that I own, and I played the shit out of it during the pandemic. Because I bought it like right at that time, and it was like it's this big, expansive world. I just was living in it, and you know, doing my thing, walking around with a baby in a glass tube and all this weird shit, Hideo Kojima shit. But it starred Norman Reedus. They're doing a film version of this, and I mean, Death Stranding 2 is coming out next month, but it has announced that Michael Cernosky will write and direct an adaptation of this game, which I just didn't even know they were doing. Now, I don't know who's going to be in it, but I wouldn't be surprised. Why wouldn't they just cast Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen and Lea Seydoux and Guillermo del Toro and Margaret Qualley in it? These are all the people that are in the game.
Yeah.
And they're all incredible actors.
It would be weird if they changed it.
Did you see Death Stranding at all?
I saw it. Yeah, Jake played it probably around the same time you did. So I watched a little bit of it. It's, I mean, for a video game, it's incredibly like visually stunning.
Yeah, gorgeous.
You know,
gorgeous. Yeah, and that was the PS4 version. Not even, hadn't even came out on PS5. So I mean, I did, dude. I sank hours into that game during the pandemic because there's nothing else to do. We were in quarantine, and Sarah we'd watch movies and stuff, and then she'd go and do something or play on her phone or something, and I would just be like, gonna pop in some Death Stranding, walk around, and build some fucking bridges, because that's what you did to the game.
Yep.
So, Will Smith reveals some new details about Michael B. Jordan's character in the I Am Legend sequel that's being made.
Oh.
Is Will Smith in it?
He is. Yes. So he says, what we're going to do is the prequel, is what he says in this. Instead of making a sequel using the 2007's alternate ending in which Smith's character survived as a launching point. Before suggesting instead of making a sequel using that would be the Michael B. Jordan's character currently is the head of a new settlement in Connecticut. He's not his son. So this will start a few decades later than the first. We track back to the original Matson book, the alternate ending, as opposed to the release film ending. So basically, that's what they're going to do, is that Will Smith's character survives in the alternate ending. Do you guys remember the alternate ending to I Am Legend?
It was much better.
It was way better.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lydia, you remember the filmed ending of I Am Legend, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He like blows himself up, and
yeah, and the like
they have the cure, and they leave.
chamber.
And, yeah, in the alternate ending, the rabid vampires, they break in, and they don't attack him. They try to get their loved one.
Right.
And then they do. They both stare at each other, and Robert Neville walks off. And that's when he realizes that he's the monster. He's the legend.
Yes.
That's why it's called I Am Legend. Because he realizes that he is the monster now. Because he's the legend that they're afraid of. He's the boogeyman that they tell their kids about.
Way better ending.
Yeah, way better. So that's kind of... That was what they were going to do. They were originally going to do a prequel. And then they decided that instead of doing that, they're going to use the alternate ending. So that's what they're doing. So that way Will Smith can be in it and it can be a sequel. So it takes place many decades later, and Michael B. Jordan's character is now the head of a new settlement in Connecticut. So he's not playing his son, which is good because that was kind of weird. But we have one more bit of horror news. Guys, you ready for this? I don't know if you're ready for this bit of horror news. This is the biggest part. I think you're ready. Mike Flanagan's adaptation of Stephen King's Carrie has been officially ordered by Prime Video.
What'd you just say?
I said Mike Flanagan's 8-episode adaptation of Carrie is moving forward.
Wow, I didn't even know that was in the works.
Summer, you did because we talked about it on the show, but you forgot. You notoriously have a terrible memory.
It was. It must have been in passing.
So, Summer H. Howell is in negotiations to star as Carrie. Sienna, I'm going to butcher that woman's last name, is cast as Susnell Agodung. She's from Resident Evil. So, it's been ordered. It's been ordered, the series. And production is expected to begin this summer. Guys, Mike Flanagan, Stephen King, Carrie. What are we thinking?
So just to recap, so there was the original.
Correct.
I haven't seen it in decades, but
it's a
I remember it being good. Then they remade it with Hit Girl.
They did make it with Hit Girl, Chloe Moretz.
Yeah, and then I didn't see that one. So this is going to be a third adaptation, but I mean, if you're going to let
correct, it's also a mini series. So it's Mike Flanagan and it's a mini series.
Oh man, that's going to be gold.
Yeah, that's right up Derek's alley.
Yeah. It's a mini series which Derek is in love with. And it's Mike Flanagan.
I wouldn't say I'm in love with it. I'm just, he makes good miniseries.
Yeah.
And a lot of things should be miniseries, is what I'm saying.
It's like more content.
I'm not in love with it, but just everything should probably be miniseries.
Well, I mean, that is, to the argument of the, you get the movie or the book.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But cinema is cinema. So
it is, and it can breathe. It's allowed to breathe. Sometimes it's a better story when it breathes.
Yeah, if you have a story that needs to be told that way. But if you're wanting to see a movie, you go to the movies. You don't sit on your couch. You hear me? You go to the cinema and you watch that fucking movie. I turned into Billy Madison at the end of that. You get off your ass and you find that fucking dog. The puppy who lost his way. But society, my friends. Puppy is society. Nothing you said is even approaching the correct answer. Everyone in this room is dumber for having listened to it. All right, guys. Picture it. Thor has just released, right? I think Thor released before this. This was, I think, filmed first, but So this is 2011. So when did Thor come out, Derek? Do you remember?
No.
2011. Came out the same year. But I think before. So anyway, picture it. It's 2011.
This was definitely filmed first.
It was 100% filmed first. I mean, he's not near spot. But picture it. It's 2011. And you see a trailer for a new horror movie coming out. And you're like, oh, okay. And you watch the premise, you watch the trailer, and it looks like what we're sold, a cabin in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
These teens being stalked. I mean, we get hints that there's more than is let on in the trailer, but we don't know what. And then it stars the upcoming Marvel superhero Thor. And nobody knows if Thor is going to work or if it's going to make money. You know, they just know the MCU is starting. But this guy, Thor, is going to be in this movie, Chris Hemsworth. So imagine people shock in awe when they go to the theater to watch a horror movie and they get fucking The Cabin in the Woods. They get this movie. So when is the first time you guys watched this one?
Well, I was freshly graduated this year that this movie came out. So I remember being in my room, like still at my mom's house, like deciding what I'm gonna do with my life. And I had this movie somehow downloaded on my computer, I think, or maybe I rented it. I don't remember. But
torrent this?
I probably did, yeah. Honestly, I probably did. But anyways, I just
don't
watched
torrent
it.
kids.
I watched it. I don't do that anymore. I did it probably in 2011 and that was it. But I watched it in my bed with my headphones on my laptop in the dark and was completely, got by this movie.
Yeah. How about you, Derek?
There's a good chance I went to the movies to see this. I definitely saw it around the time it came out, for sure.
Yeah. I went and saw this. I didn't go see it in the theater. I remember seeing the trailers. And I even was like, there's something else going on here, But I kind of heard some stuff about it, like, by the time it came out on video, which is when I watched it, I definitely had heard some stuff. Like I knew that there was, something to do with like ancient gods and stuff. But I didn't know a lot. So I sit in and watch, and so we rented it. I watched it with my parents. And I remember having a good time with it. I remember, basically from the opening, because we open with I'm just going to say it, the two best characters in the movie, which are Brad Whitford and Richard Jenkins. Yeah, as I'm trying to remember their names in the movie. Excuse me. It's Sitterson and Hadley. Sitterson and Hadley. And, we open with them and we get some quippy dialogue, some jokes. And I was like, oh, okay, this is good. I already kind of know what you're in for. Because the secret to this movie, guys, is it's more of a comedy than a horror movie.
Yep.
It's a comedy.
Definitely a horror comedy.
Yep. I would even say it's a comedy horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's very little scares in the movie. There's there's a lot of gore, and there's a lot of love letter stuff to horror fans, but none of it is particularly scary, nor is it really meant to be, I don't think. It's more to tell the story and to set up jokes. But yeah, so where do you guys want to start with this? I mean, like I just said, I love Richard Jenkins and Brad Whitford in general. I think they're great, but I think they're really good here. I think they're hilarious in this movie.
They're so funny. They're so funny.
They are, and they've got some really good moments in the film. There's a scene where Bradley Whitford is like starting to get like, I'm kind of rooting for her.
That's my favorite.
As if, oh, the tequila's here. Or like,
yeah. Tequila. Yeah.
No, this
titty tequila or something like that.
Yeah, just a brief overview. So parts of this I was half paying attention. Here's the movie theory I've got. why were these people chosen? And I think I've got a theory as to who might have like been like, hey, these people right here.
What's your theory?
I think it was her college professor boyfriend.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe.
Interesting.
I know the college
But anyway.
Just
professor.
happened to dump her.
Yeah, I think the college professor, I mean, is also there, so we know that she's definitely not a virgin. You know.
Yeah, they take what they can get.
Yeah, well, what I love is that, you know, if you watch the trailer and stuff, you're thinking that these guys are just fitting into these stereotypes. But what's really funny is that none of them are these stereotypes. And once they get into the cabin and once the chemicals start hitting them and stuff, they all start acting their parts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Chris Hemsworth, who is a sociology major, becomes like this alpha jock dumbass. Her friend, who chastised her for sleeping with her professor, is all of a sudden a whore, you know, and promiscuous. And then the stoner is the only one that's kind of he starts to a little bit fall into the thing, but then he starts to question everything because he's starting to be like, hey, I'm not falling into this stereotype, which we find out why. She starts to play the lead virgin character. And then their other friend becomes like the scholar character. They all kind of just fall into their roles. And it's funny how we can see it morph from the beginning of the movie when they're all introduced, especially the three main characters. They're introduced in her room, and they have completely different personalities.
Yeah.
And then once they enter the cabin, we see those personalities literally start to morph into these stereotypes.
Yes. And I love that scene where they are in her dorm room and they're like he says like, where did you get these? And he's like holding those like school books. Like, I love their interactions in that room.
Yeah, because it shows that he's super intelligent, that he's like a library guy, you know, that he's like this super smart guy that is all about schoolwork and proper information. And then that way we pay it off with him acting like a dumbass and a jock in the thing. I also like that she's not wearing any pants, and he points that out.
Like, and you have no pants on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she definitely wasn't. I mean, that's the first thing I noticed. Like, you're not wearing any pants.
Too, yeah.
He just was like, so it's like in a way it was kind of kind to like not point it out. Like he just didn't care, make it a big deal at all, which is so chill.
Yeah. By the way, you're not wearing any pants. Oh no. Derek would have done one of these.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not lying, am I? That's 100% what you would have done.
That is, you're not lying. It's happened before, but I won't go there. So
Chris Hemsworth is probably just like so desensitized to that kind of, you know, like nobody has pants on around him.
No, ladies' pants just drop off. Dudes probably too.
Yeah.
Handsome. That's a handsome man.
You guys are insinuating over here?
Chris Hemsworth is attractive. What do you mean? What are we insinuating? Let me walk you through it, Derek.
So, like a general synopsis of this movie. So, I really like the approach that they took with this movie. Playing it up almost kind of like a TV show, right? They're setting these people up for the roles that they're going to play for these gods that they are trying to appease so that they don't have an uprising. Like it's a really different take on like the genre. I was really.
Are you saying this should have been a miniseries?
No, Lydia. I think it was fine in the 134 minutes it took to tell the story.
Okay, that's fair.
Although they could have turned it into a miniseries, and it could have been much better.
No, it wouldn't have been much better.
It would. This movie, there's not a lot of depth to it. Like
no, and by the way, this movie's 95 minutes. If it was 134 minutes, I probably would have fucking shot myself. Like, this is too long. We still
I think
you said
like
it's an hour and what?
It's 95 minutes.
Yeah, so that's an hour and 35 minutes.
But you said no. But okay, so I see. You said 135 minutes the first time. You didn't say an hour and 35 minutes.
Oh,
That's why I was
meant
like,
an hour and
it's,
35 minutes.
yeah, I was like, it's 95. It's not 135 minutes.
Anyway, I'm in an hour and
Fucking
35.
them are Godfather numbers. What are we doing here? But
Anyway, go ahead.
no, no, it is an interesting take. So it's what's fun is I mean, it is a more than anything, it's just kind of deconstructing the tropes of a horror movie, which has been done before.
Mhm.
And you know, and sometimes better, sometimes worse. I'm not in love with deconstructions usually. I'm like the constructs are there for a reason almost. But no, what I like the fun of this is how they kind of untangle it. I like how we have like this whole setup of like a like you said, almost like a reality TV series or something. Like, especially when it came out, it's kind of like Fear or Scariest Places on Earth or something like that, where except instead of having the body cams and stuff, they're kind of going into the situation, and then these traps are laid for them to kind of fall into. Except in this, it's to literally kill them and to, you know, to appease these gods, which we find out later, because throughout the first, you know, we kind of get hints of it. They talk about downstairs, you know, oh, this call come from downstairs kind of thing. And what's interesting, I do like the concept of like every country has their own game that they're doing. And so usually it's like, you know, usually whatever the culture is for the game, you know, it changes what the game is. And then if all of them fail, then the old gods come up from the ancient ones come up, I suppose. But
yeah, so only, and just to make sure I got it right, only one of them needs to succeed, right? That only one of them needs to provide the actual sacrifice.
Correct, and usually one of them do, you know, all of them. But this time, basically, it was made to fail. This time was made to fail, like it was destined to fail, because like every single one of them fails, which we'll get into a little bit. I do like that when we start seeing them, like the different ones. We see Japan has like a scary, like ring style ghost woman, you know. And then we go through and we see different countries in theirs. I think Japan had like a giant kaiju that was defeated and that sort of thing. So it's like each of their cultures have a different monster in a different game. And I like how when the little girls defeat the thing, they're like, you know, he's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. He's like,
yeah.
Not one 9 little girls, not one fatality, you know. But back to the cabin in the woods. They, you know, once Marty starts kind of figuring stuff out. Marty is our resident stoner character. Once he starts kind of figuring stuff out, you know, nobody else is really paying attention to him because he's seeing things clearly due to the weed counteracting, you know, all of the it's counteracting the effects of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So none of it is affecting him. So he's kind of seeing through it. Everybody else is under the haze of this. You know what I mean? Everybody else is under the haze. He is not. He is starting to kind of see things clear, or he's still kind of seeing things clear. Then once the mayhem starts, it kind of starts, you know, taking them out one by one to a degree, like you would in a normal movie. So we start seeing like they use zombies in this instead of like I don't know. I probably would have made it like a more of a Jason killer. You know what I mean? Like a like more of like that. But they went like more.
But it was 2011. It was 2011, which was like a zombie boom.
It was because of The Walking Dead. It was.
Yep.
And you know, so they use zombies, and they, you know, I guess the one killer zombie is kind of like a Jason substitute, but he's a zombie because they each find the things that like are going to how they're going to die. Basically, they kind of set that up by whatever they pick, and they pick like the journal thing, and that kind of starts to. That's kind of the story that starts to unfold. which we kind of think is going to be the backstory. So here's the thing. This movie could have been completely different. I'll talk about it more. The movie could have been completely different if they would have held off on us seeing any of that stuff, any of the behind the scenes stuff until about the midway point through the movie. But then I feel like it might have pissed people off. It would have been a really good twist. It would have been a really good twist, but it might have alienated some people. Whereas if you get it out right at the beginning, they know kind of what to expect. Okay, so these are kind of them's the stakes.
Yeah.
But it would have been very temptation. There'd have been a big temptation to hold that back until like the proper time to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To release
that. I agree with that. And as an audience goer, I don't know how I would have. I appreciate the path they took, but I wonder what the reaction. It makes me wonder what that reaction would have been like from the audience. Because this movie was not like a huge success.
No, it wasn't at all.
Which is unfortunate.
So, like, I mean, you could easily rework it to be that, right? I mean, if you just move some scenes around,
you could
you could totally have it to where once, like, let's say when, the first kill happens, we pull out from the TV monitor and we see them for the first time. Easily a thing they could have done.
Yeah.
But so instead we're just kind of intersped with these two stories that are connecting. But yeah, once the mayhem starts, so the whore, as it were, is the first to go, Jules, which is funny. She's pre-med, so she's incredibly intelligent. but she's the whore in this situation.
She made out with that moose.
Yep. And she did the sexy. She did this.
Yeah.
She did the sexy Friday the 13th dance. In the cabin. Because that scene reminded me of the 2009 remake. You guys know which scene I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Because there's a line where he says, I always think about that, where Chewie says, "When I die, I want to come back as one of the buttons on the back of her pants." Which I always thought was a funny line. But yeah, so she's the first to go, and then the bloodletting starts, and it's by these zombies, like the zombie folks start
the
appearing.
Buckners.
Yep, and they start like kind of zombieing around. And that's when kind of the shit starts as the fan, right? What do you guys think of this action once it starts? Because it kind of doesn't let up, really. So it's kind of a lot of fun once the mayhem starts.
Yeah.
I
just think like my favorite thing is them, like the whiteboard of like them placing bets on all the different things that are going to be chosen. It's so funny. And like if you like just pause and just read all of them, they're all fantastic. So and they're like, the Buckner's great. Like, and I just like I'm kind of obsessed with the name, the Buckners. I was like, oh man, that's so scary.
Yeah. That's really funny that they have to pick it. And it's also great that like the weapons are like electrified, so they drop the weapons after they use them because it shocks them. That's fun. I was like, oh, that's clever. But yeah, all the scenes with them behind the scenes. There's also when they're about to have sex in the woods, which of course, for no reason, they decide to leave the comfort of the cabin where they have house to go and have sex in the woods because they're under this fucking trance, and they're begging for. He's like, "Come on, let's see some boobs. Let's see some boobs." And he's like, "Do we really need to see him?" He's like, Richard Jenkins, stone-faced, says, "Hey, we're not the only ones watching this. You do realize what's at stake here." It's so funny to me.
And when you see her, like she like unbuttons her top, and you see that guy like scooch into frame, like behind them, like he couldn't help but look either.
Yeah, it's so good. Because he's an audience surrogate. Because let's be 100% honest with ourselves. When we watch a slasher movie and there's a sex scene coming up, we're like, are there going to be boobs?
And you're like, oh, I gotta look away, but you're like peeking through. You're like, I gotta look. I gotta see everything.
Well, I mean, Eric pauses.
I do not pause. That's a lie. My wife was in the room. You know how much trouble I'd get in?
But if she wasn't in the room, we have a collection of snapshots. It's not important. We both do. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
This one, they do like they really drag it out to like try and make you slightly uncomfortable about it too, because there are multiple people watching, and it's like it's like, well, they have to have this happen, so it just makes it like pretty uncomfortable to watch.
I mean, I thought it was great and funny.
Well, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's
what I find
the Buckners are coming too. So
yeah,
you're like, oh,
yeah.
no.
What I find interesting is, Kurt gets stabbed with that shard or knife or whatever. It's a pretty big,
Oh yeah,
thing, and then he just walks it off. Really,
it's like a big old sickle. Like,
they all
do.
Straight
because,
I know.
Because Marty gets like a knife in the back.
I know. Which,
then
by the way, fun fact about him: apparently, the actor. So he's uncomfortably dressed at points, like whenever they're down by the lake. I was watching something about this. Apparently, the actor was so jacked that they didn't want him to appear that way because of the character he was portraying. So they put a bunch of clothes on him to try to cover it up.
That's interesting because I was kind of like, there's like one point, I think when they're like downstairs, that I was like, man, he looks like he has like huge arms.
Yeah,
under his long sleeves.
When he takes his when we see him again, he doesn't have the longer shirt on, and you can see he's pretty cut. Yeah,
interesting.
See, he's in good shape. But yeah, like they both get fucked up. Kurt gets that sickle, and then I mean, when we think that Marty dies, right? When we think Marty dies, he gets a knife to his back.
Well, and that threw me off.
And then vanishes.
Yeah, that threw me off because I had it'd been enough time since I saw this. I was like, man, I swear that he and Dana are at the end of this movie. But then I thought he died, and I was like, well, maybe it was the one dude.
Yeah.
No, I remembered it being him for sure.
It's a good trick. It's a good trick.
It is a good trick when you first watch it, when the first time you see this thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Because he just
I've seen
so we never see him die.
Right.
So that should have been a hint.
But you do see the blood go down into the sacrifice thing. So that's the one that really gets you, because you're like, well, he's definitely dead.
They think that he's dead. Yeah, they think he's dead.
Yeah.
And then so then, when they try to escape, I do love the bit with the tunnel, how it hasn't collapsed. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that is great. Yeah.
It's like,
he's gonna run down there.
Cave-in. Where's the fucking cave-in? Richard Jenkins runs clear down and tries to get it turned off and everything. And they finally figure out that there's a mistake, and they fix it and blow up the tunnel. And then we get the scene that I remembered most when I first watched this, and it's the scene that's kind of in the trailer, actually. But you don't see the end of it, which is when Kurt jumps the ravine. On the dirt bike. I remember this the first time I was watching it, because I was like, he's going to jump this thing, and I was like, because Chris Hemsworth was really the only star in this movie, and he wasn't a star yet. Thor hadn't come out, but Thor was coming out, soon, or had just come out, one of the two. So he wasn't like the name he is now, or even the following year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember when he's going to jump this, I was like, oh, he's gonna bite it here. I just don't know how. I thought something was gonna jump up and grab him. First time I watched it.
They kind of foreshadowed it with the eagle.
They did earlier. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. They did. Yeah, they did. So I did remember that. I was like, oh, he's toast. And it's a good bit. He falls down and everything. I think that Jesse Williams' character Holden gets the brunt end of the, like, he gets the raw deal because his death it's fine, but it's not near as memorable as everybody else's. He just gets stabbed with the by the main Buckner guy. Just they fall into the camper falls into the water, and we get that great celebration scene where they're like, "Why are you celebrating?" And they're like, "Oh, well, everybody's gone, but she's still alive. Oh, it's optional for the virgin to die. She either has to die last or survive. She survives, it's optional. But photo finish, babe. Photo fucking finish," he says. And then they get the call from the director on the other line. He's like, "Which one?" "No, but we got all of them." I'm not saying you're wrong." And then we see Marty reappear. And then the movie takes a wild fucking right turn. As we go into the downstairs and we just see this vast, like, absurd, absolutely absurd, obviously underground, like, facility, I guess, prison thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a prison, yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's wild because it's a lot of we get a lot of Temu version of horror icons in this scene, some royalty-free versions of horror icons, because we get Sawhead, everybody's favorite character, Sawhead.
Yeah. Just like Hellraiser, right?
Yeah. It's clearly Pinhead, but didn't use him, so it's Sawhead.
Yeah.
And we couldn't use the creature from the Black Lagoon, so we get a guy that's kind of like that. Merman dude. And
which I love the payoff to that, by the way.
It's great. It's great.
It is
but
great.
but it's fun, but it's funny that might have made the movie, that might have put the movie over the top. Like, if they would have had the rights to these characters, but that would have made this movie cost so much.
Yeah.
It'd be unrealistic. But it does crack me up when we see, Temu Pinhead fucking kills me. Because the design looks great and everything, but you're like, so not only does he have saws in his head, but he's holding a round puzzle box.
Right, a round puzzle box.
Obviously. Sure. Yeah, it's a little too
on the nose, maybe
obvious without being the actual person. Yeah. Or the fucking clown, dude. The clown.
Oh yeah.
He's obviously supposed to be it, but it's more like Bozo.
Yeah. So
So
this does feel like, when your grandma goes to the dollar store, and when you were a kid, she goes to get you Christmas, and she buys you Transmorphers instead of Transformers, the Incredible Bulk. Yeah. And you go, "Thanks, Grandma."
I was into it though. Like I really enjoyed it. I think I mean, obviously you can't have like Pinhead in there and then just have like some generic other monsters, but even though that would have been pretty cool. But
it would have been the best.
I love this scene so much of seeing all of these monsters. Like you get the Tooth Fairy and the werewolf and the bat and the snake and like all these.
The werewolf looks great.
The werewolf does look great.
Oh,
all of them look great. I think all of the makeup effects are really good. The CG is good for its time. But they tried to do practical where they could do practical, and it shows because there's some really cool practical designs for some of this stuff. There's also some like really, dodgy CG, but that's just, like I said, the budget and the time this movie was made, but that doesn't take you out of it or anything. When she releases them and the mayhem starts, it's just a lot of fun. There's just a lot of like mayhem going on, a lot of craziness, a lot of just blood everywhere. We get to see that crazy bat fucking creature smash through. We get to see the ghost demon just floating around. Yeah, we get to see like freaking like you said, the snake thing, all of them, and the weird bozo. Weird bozo is not the best.
When the tree monster like comes out of the elevator.
Or the giant like octopus creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that
Answers
one
that
woman
lady.
that one woman shoots herself because of all the mayhem that's going on.
And there's like the
But yeah,
strangers.
yeah, the 100% the strangers. Yeah, but they're not the strangers. That they would be what the unknowns.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not strangers. They're acquaintances.
Acquaintances. That's a good one.
But so yeah, there's a lot of fun in this whole third act because it just balls to the walls. Everything's falling apart. The you know, the world's essentially ending, and it's just like this crazy mayhem. And then we get like the death of all of our
Unicorn.
like the unicorn is one of the dumbest parts because it just goes and you're just like, what the fuck is a unicorn here? First of all,
Yeah, you're just like, oh gosh, okay, well, I just
Who-
saw that,
whose nightmare fuel is unicorns?
right?
They're about to come out with a horror movie about
Yeah,
unicorns.
They
That's
are
true.
with Paul Rudd.
That's true.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega.
Yep.
Called what? Death of a Unicorn or something like that. Killing of a
Something like
Unicorn,
that.
something like that. Derek,
We're almost to the $1 million question, guys.
Derek.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what? Unicorn media is outlawed. Uniporn.
Jamie,
Lydia,
It's
I don't
frowned
think.
upon.
I don't
that's your
think-
friend, Derek. That's your friend.
He's your brother-in-law. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but that wasn't my choice.
You know,
Touche.
I'll tell you
Lydia.
that
Touche.
unicorn was quite horny when you say. Must have been watching a
Lydia,
lot
you're really
of
making
porn.
me second guess my life choices here.
Yeah. All right,
Um,
we're ending the podcast on
but-
this episode. This is the last one. Thank you guys
Sorry,
for
guys.
watching.
Sorry, guys. So, what were you saying, Derek, about the $1 million question?
Well, we're approaching the end of the movie, and what would you have done? I love the scene. So, like, because they meet up with
Sigourney Weaver.
with Richard
Yeah, they
Jenkins'
do.
character. Well, they do, but they meet up with Richard Jenkins' character, like in the tunnels, and he says something to Dana. He was like, "Kill him."
Kill him. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
she's like,
Please kill him.
so then they make it down to like where the gateway or the doorway, whatever where the god comes up, and they meet
The
Sigourney
tunnel.
Weaver. You're right, and she almost convinces Dana.
Which, by the way, comes out of fucking nowhere. That's 100% one of those letter of intent gets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's 100.
Mhm.
Sigourney Weaver just popping up. That's one of those. Hey, you know what would be cool if we got fucking Sigourney Weaver attached to this thing?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's send her the script. And do you want to play this role that has 5 lines?
Yeah, in one day, and you're
Yeah.
good to go.
Sorry, we're in the middle of funding our film, so that just literally came to my mind when I watched it. She popped up. I was like, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I see what they did here.
like if you could get Sigourney Weaver in your film.
Yeah, it would be
You'd be
funded
like,
already.
yeah.
Yeah, it'd be funded. But yeah, she does almost convince her to.
Yeah, your
you
spot
know.
comments really got me at the beginning of this, or maybe not here, but it was anyway. You had made a reference to Spock earlier
Oh yes, I
at
did.
some point, and I was like, "Yeah, it fits."
Yeah,
What
the
would you
needs
have
of the
done?
many. Well, it's me personally. I'd have shot
Yeah.
him in the face because I have a child at home.
Well, if you're in her position, not your position, if you're in her position, what would you have done?
Shot him in the face.
Yeah, me too. It would have sucked. I wouldn't have wanted to, but I would have too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure. I think
No.
sometimes when you just are, a teenager who just watched this movie and you're like, yeah, that was the cool choice to make.
Down, man. Yeah, 100%. I feel like when it got to that point, they wanted like kind of a fun, nihilistic ending, like because they're smoking a cigarette. I think they're kind of wanting like a, Yeah, they're smoking
Smoking a
weed,
joint.
really. But yeah, smoking a joint. But they want like kind of like the Thing ending almost. You know what I mean? Like a let's just sit here for a while kind of ending.
Yeah.
But because we never see them die, we see the hand come up and destroy the cabin and what have you. But I think they just wanted that kind of fun. Hey, let's burn it all down ending. But I think, yeah, almost 99% of people would have shot him in the face.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unfortunately.
it's kind of unless you want the world to burn.
Yeah.
Kind of, you have to.
Yeah.
And if I were him, I would have been like, no, it's the right decision.
Well, that's the other thing. If it was another character, they would have said, shoot me, or they would have sacrificed themselves in any other movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They would have made the heroic choice, and then the world would be saved, and we'd be like, thank God for his sacrifice kind of thing. But they wanted, like I said, a fun, burn it down ending just because it'd be fun. It's something we've never seen.
Yeah.
Ish. But I could have done without the hand at the end is not the best hand.
Yeah. It's
I'm gonna forgive him for that one.
I wish it would have been like a clawed or something.
It just kind of looks like Jack and the Beanstalk is what it looks like.
It looks so cartoony, like human
cartoonish.
hand.
Yeah, cartoon human hand. Yeah.
Or at least like giving it claws, maybe.
Give it like a
something
demon,
demonic or
demon
like...
hand with nails on it or something.
Yeah. Or we could have seen like the actual monster pop up, but that'd be too expensive. So I understand why they did a hand.
Yeah.
Because all they had to do was go to the VFX guys and said, "Hey, I've got a job for you." They're like, "You got a job?" We're like, "Yeah, I got a hand job for you."
Yeah. Exactly. And their budget was already spent on that monster scene.
The monster sequence. So they have to skimp on the hand job, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's not as good as you were hoping, but you still get there in the end. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, I doubt this was a happy ending for anybody.
And sometimes that happens too. Sometimes it's sad. Wow, that was like a lot of puns and like a lot of innuendos in a very short amount of time, guys.
That was
Good
terrible,
job.
guys.
Good
that was
work.
Terrible.
Good work. A+ all around.
Jamie, I'm going to sidetrack us just for a second. Do you remember that one time that we were on a call with Lydia on a podcast and you and I made her so mad? I forget what specifically we were talking about. It might have been the Sonny Bono thing.
Yes, it was a Sonny.
I don't know if I've ever laughed so hard, but I'm pretty sure Lydia like hated both of us.
Yes. Well, it was that one. The Sonny Bono
that was because
one,
of the Munsters episode. Look what they did.
Yeah. Well, the Sonny Bono one, I think we just said Shay would never watch a show after that. But I think the other one was when you told the story, and I said the joke about your mom's what appendaged boyfriend.
I can't take it, you guys. I can't take it all, okay? You guys, I love you guys to death.
Listen, these are Derek's real life stories, Lydia. I can't help that these happen.
I know. And, sometimes they're just hard to laugh at because I just,
I'll tell a story
feel for you guys.
I'll tell a funny story at the end of this.
Okay. Yeah, I feel for us too. Let's backtrack a little bit. So first of all, what do you guys think of this ending? Like you said, it's fun. It's fine.
Yeah.
The thing is, the movie doesn't really have any weight to it anyway. You know what I mean? It's not like you emotionally feel devastated that the world ends or anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like you're just like with these characters at this point. They're dying. They're like wounded in multiple ways. Like she got attacked by a werewolf.
She did
at the end, which big fan. Love a werewolf attack out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, we have a werewolf project that we're working on. It's still, it's written. So, we'll get to that eventually. Stay tuned.
I had to rewind it, by the way, when they were having their because I couldn't understand what she had replied back to when he was like, "How you doing?" or something along those lines. I had
she's
to rewind
leaving.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going.
I'm going.
Said.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
she said that?
Yeah, she says I'm going. Yeah, she knows she's dying. She just got attacked by a werewolf.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize she said that.
Yeah, so they should have Romeo and Juliet it, I guess, or just like kind of jumped off the cliff into the abyss together since they were both going.
Sacrifice themselves for the world.
Yeah,
But I think his point.
Hanks tried to do it in Joe versus Volcano.
Well, I think his point was like, I think it's like maybe this world, if like we have to sacrifice people to keep it going, maybe it's like not worth it.
Correct. That's the thesis of his. That's his point of view. Is maybe mankind maybe we had our turn. Maybe it's time to give somebody else a chance, because if we have to murder each other to survive, then what's the point of surviving?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I do want to backtrack a little bit and talk about. We didn't really talk about Bradley Whitford's death. We kind of mentioned it a little bit, but we mentioned the payoff. It's a really funny scene. He's after the explosion goes off and he's laying there. He sees this vision's kind of clouded. He sees this figure approaching him, and it's the fucking mermaid's stupid face. And he's like, "Oh, come on."
It's so cheesy, but it's such a good payoff because he mentions that thing twice. Just wish it would have been a merman. I just really want to see that.
Wanted to see it, and then he gets to see it finally.
Yeah, he's like, and that's one of the practical effects. That's just such a fun practical effect that they do with this guy just crawling, and it has a blowhole. Like
the blowhole is the coolest part. That's the coolest part. Yeah, that's the coolest part.
All right, since we're backtracking a little bit, I got one.
Okay.
What about that phone call with Mordecai?
Speakerphone? Yes. Yeah, that's really funny too. Yeah. That's really funny too.
He's like, all biblical, blah, blah, blah. Am I on speakerphone?
Yeah, am I on speakerphone? They all start laughing at him.
He's like, no.
What's funny is, it's like part office comedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Part workplace comedy, part, cabin in the woods bit. It's kind of a Frankenstein movie that comes together for a pretty fun time. And that's Cabin in the Woods. The Cabin in the Woods, actually. I realized while I was searching this to watch it. I just always called it Cabin in the Woods. Not that one.
Like Derek typed in our invitation.
Derek warned us that he has to get better humor, so we can't blame him.
I thought it was quite appropriate. Thank you.
There's nothing haunted at all about the woods in this movie.
There was a ghost in the movie, and it just made more sense if it was haunted.
Was it in the woods? This is not a haunted
What would you
movie.
Want me to say? Cabin in the Woods?
Like government in the woods or something? I don't know. Like something
government
to do with
surveillance?
Conspiracies.
Sacrifice at Cabin Lake.
Cabin in the conspiracy woods.
Anyway, we can move on.
Do you guys remember Cabin by the Lake, by the way? That movie with fucking Bender in it, Judd Nelson. It was like a USA original movie.
Cabin by the Lake. Nope.
Yeah,
sure. I don't think so.
Yeah,
that reminded me of a different movie, though. I think.
What's that?
I want to say it was called The Devil's Kettle.
That sounds like a Derek movie.
My best friend Garth made me watch it one time, and it just like stuck in my head. I think it had oh gosh, what's that girl's name? The blonde. Oh, I'm not sure. I'll have to Google it.
Anderson.
No.
Farrah Fawcett. I'm just naming all the blonde people I could think of. Sting.
I don't want to say the wrong.
Well, that's really funny, guys. Go on, Sting. Well, that's a good pull.
That's not what I typed. Okay.
Did it Google the devil's butthole?
I might just be like completely wrong about what that movie was called. Why do I think the devil's kettle is a thing?
It is now. Copyright HiLa Productions 2025.
Hang on.
So Derek, while she's looking at for the devil's rejects, what are you going to give Cabin in the Woods?
I am going to give Cabin in the Woods a 7. I had a lot of fun watching. It's not like a great movie by any stretch. It's fun. It takes a different approach to the whole genre. It kind of deifies the whole premise of like the cabin horror movies, which is really great, or horror movies in general. This is the smallest critique. The only thing I would have done different is whenever Sigourney Weaver is giving her speech, I would have kept the archetypes that they were naming off. I would have kept them more like Greek based, because she says the four. Terrible to say. That's a
Right.
terrible name. Yeah. And then she says
the
jock. Like she says the fool, that's fine. She says the jock or something like that. Like she should have said like, the warrior or something along those lines. Anyway, that's the smallest critique that you could ever make in your entire life.
But I would have kept it
more. I was just like, man, I would have kept it more.
Devil's Pond with Tara Reid.
Okay, so Lydia, I just gotta say that is nothing like the Devil's Kettle.
Okay. Well, okay. So
I like the Devil's Kettle.
When I typed in the Devil's Kettle, a bunch of like nature pictures popped up. So I think that is a real thing. I just don't know how I confused. I think I might have went into a different dimension. You originally saw this.
You might have combined a couple things because that happens sometimes, right?
Also, Jennifer's body popped up when I typed in Devil's Kettle, so that might be also a thing. Like, is that the town in Jennifer's body? I think it is. Now that I'm thinking about it,
it's a bar.
It's a bar.
Yeah, I bet it's the bar.
I don't know. But yeah. So
anyway, so I give that movie a 7.
Lydia, what say you?
Yeah, I think I'm right around there too. I think this is such an enjoyable comedy to watch, like with horror elements, so
yeah,
I'm into that kind of thing. So I think especially I think it would be good for people who are maybe too scared to like see an actual scary movie. Like this would be perfect for like Halloween time and stuff like that. If you're like looking for a spooky watch, but don't want to be too scared, this is perfect. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. I'll give it an 8 even, because I don't have like any complaints about it. I think like my only nitpick about it was that like the CG blood spatter was sometimes a little noticeable.
There's a lot of it.
But other than that, I really
of the CG blood spatter. I will agree with that.
I think it's very entertaining, and as a movie like this, it should be like really predictable. But I think it still like leaves room for some unexpected things to happen. So
yeah. So I'm with Derek. I'm going to give it a 7 as well. I really like this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I have no real complaints. I mean, besides like the little ones you guys said, blood splatter stuff. The it's not very scary, obviously. But it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun, really. And I think it's a really interesting premise. I think the performances are good. I think it looks great. I should add. I think it's shot really well. I think the cinematography is great in this thing. I've been kind of on this journey recently with, we're about to shoot our feature, and I've been watching some stuff and, about different things, just kind of been popping up. And I think about like, movies don't look like movies anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff looks kind of not great, especially bigger blockbusters and such. So, but this movie looks fantastic, I think. What do you guys think?
Yeah, yep, I agree. It really
agree
does.
on all the accounts, Derek?
Mm-hmm. I do. This would have been probably a pretty decent movie as a straight horror movie, like just to have made.
It would have been. Yeah, it wouldn't have been as fun though.
It would not have been what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it probably would have been fine that way as well. But I like.
No wonder this movie looks good. By the way, guys, it was lensed by Peter Dimming. He's a cinematographer. He did it. He's done a couple of good movies, a couple of movies in his life that you may have seen, like Scream 2, Scream 3, most of Scream 1.
There you go.
I Heart Huckabees, Drag Me to Hell, Scream 4, Mulholland Drive, Lost Highway, My Cousin Vinny. But most importantly, guys, he shot a film called Evil Dead 2.
Ooh.
Which makes sense why the woods shit looks so good.
It does look good, doesn't it?
He's like, guys, I'm a seasoned veteran. I know how to frame this.
Don't worry, I've done this before.
The lighting, you need this.
Yeah.
Guys,
Does he have an accent like that?
Yeah, he doesn't normally. So, it's my turn to pick. Do you think we could do Evil Dead 2 again for the third time? What do you think?
Mean, yeah.
You might have to rename the podcast.
Scream Bloody Evil Dead.
Bloody Evil Dead. Yeah.
So, before I pick my horror movie, it's time to Atkinize this movie. Who would the great Tom Atkins play?
Thrill me.
Oh man, I wouldn't replace any of these. They're so good. The casting was really good.
It was.
Nobody survives, so.
But we have to replace him with somebody.
We do. Okay, let's think. The scholar.
That's who I was kind of thinking. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, he could replace Chris Hemsworth too. To be honest,
I was going to say because he's kind of a badass. Yeah, I would go Chris Hemsworth.
I would too. Yeah, I'd say there. Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, he makes it in the woods with.
Yeah.
Jules. So.
Yeah.
There's that, and he gets to ride a motorcycle.
I was picturing him in the scene with the two-way mirror, or the
you picturing with the shirt off? Of course you were.
No, I meant
there we go.
We know it.
Lydia, your secret's out.
No, that's not what I meant.
She's like, I would have not put the picture back up. I would have kept it down.
I was just thinking, I was thinking if he was in that room, he would have just just set it all up right there, and it wouldn't even be an issue of her being a virgin or being, she would just straight up be with him. She would be like, I can't resist this guy, which I think is how they meant you to feel about him anyways, because he's a pretty good looking guy.
Yeah, he is. So guys, it's my turn to pick, and I have a couple of choices.
Okay.
Picked out here, right?
Yes.
Hang on. Okay, so what are you guys in the mood for? You in for another funny one? You in for a deeply scary one? You in for a bloody one? You want a modern one? What are we feeling?
Deeply scary.
Do we want a classic?
Classic.
There might be a classic.
Is it
it's
too
in color, Derek.
early to... You guys are mean.
I thought that's what you were going to ask.
Seriously. Show up.
I literally thought you were going to ask that because I said it was a classic. I thought you were going to ask if it was black and white or color because of the classic.
What I was going to ask,
and I didn't say anything.
Rudely interrupted. Was it too early to do a Thanksgiving movie? Because we could do Thanksgiving or.
I'm glad that
you
stopped this right in the middle of what I was going to say to talk about goddamn Ginger Dead Man. That's why we don't let you talk.
Yeah, what are you talking about? I mean, we struggle to find Thanksgiving movies as it is when it's on Thanksgiving.
We're gonna have to watch one of those shit bags next year.
Yeah,
I know, because there's no more.
I know, we've exhausted all of them. So next week, guys, we are going to watch the 1984 horror sci-fi, in my opinion, classic, Night of the Comet. And it is streaming on Tubi, Pluto TV, MGM Plus, Sling TV, Amazon, Philo, and the Roku channel, YouTube TV. So you can watch it on all of those places, Tubi and Pluto TV, obviously, for free. Night of the Comet. Going to be a lot of fun. Derek, you said you had a story for us.
It's extraordinarily vulgar, Lydia. This is going to offend you. And it's Jamie's fault, and I had nothing to do with it. All right, so we were, a bunch of us were playing football at this field in Peru. Right, so it was Jamie and I and a bunch of friends. So my brother pulls up, and he's like, hey, come over here. He was working, I think, for the railroad at the time. So his job was to just drive people around.
He was in their truck, actually.
Yeah, he was in their truck. So he pulls up and he like gets my attention, and I go over and I'm talking to him. And Jamie and I have a mutual friend, and she's very pretty, and she's sitting on the top of like the hood of her car, just watching the football game and all that fun stuff, just hanging out. And Jay goes, man, who's that? And I'm like, oh, this is, so and so. And he goes,
My friend.
he goes, breakfast. I'd suck her ovaries right out.
Oh my god.
I was so disgusted. I was like, dude, please leave. Please leave.
Derek literally said, Jay, he's like, oh, that's our friend. Get the hell out of here, Jay. Basically, he's like, get the hell out of here.
Like shoo
like,
him
what?
away with a broom. Like
Yeah, kind of.
Jay acted like he didn't. What? I don't understand. What? As he
What
drives
did I
away.
do wrong, Derek? What did I do
no
wrong?
boundaries. No boundaries.
No, that is a classic. So, guys, by the time this airs, it'll be this week. Erie Culture Fest. We're going to be there. You guys should be there too if you're in the area. Come check out our booth. We're going to have some cool shit there. We have some cool backgrounds. We have some cool stuff to give away. Derek's going to be wearing a hula skirt, I think. Isn't that what you said, Derek?
Yep.
Derek in a hula skirt. I'm going to be probably wearing chaps, I would guess. Assless, maybe. Come stop by our table if you're there. Talk to us. Hang out. We'll tell you about the feature. Tell you how it's going. You'll see some exclusive stuff behind the scenes. You'll see the opening scene. All that good stuff will be at Erie Culture Fest. So check that out, because we are currently pre-production of the movie, and it's going pretty well. And we just really want you guys to come out, support it, and we can't wait to show you guys what this movie. The movie's going to be great, right, guys?
Oh yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
There's a lot of fun dialogue, a lot of scary situations, a lot of super fun and gory ass kills. So I think you guys are going to really love it, especially if you like this movie with the level of gore, and if you're a fan of what we love: Halloween, Evil Dead, Scream, Friday the 13th. You're going to love this thing. So come out to Erie Culture Fest, Derek. Right?
Yep.
That'll be April 25th, and we'll be there that night. Derek will be there the next day as well. So come see us.
Yep.
That wraps up this week's episode of Scream Bloody Movies. Thank you for taking the time. Come and check us out and making it this far into the episode. We appreciate you. Leave a like down below. Comment. Tell me what you think of Cabin in the Woods. Tell me what you want us to do next. Is there a film you're really dying to hear our opinion of? Is there a movie that you want to make us sit through to torture us? If you're a sadistic fuck like Derek, let us know. We will gladly reply back. So until next week, for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, guys, if you're going to scream bloody movies.